Welcome to the Low and Chill section we have at the beginning of every one of these Hatecasts. Now, guys, this time we do not have a subject. We go into the royal family and their somewhat bizarre rules. We go into Instagram and both Instagram squat girls and flexing the money that you don't have on Instagram and how annoying that is, right? Because everybody has that one friend that makes their life seem so much better on Instagram when in actuality they're a miserable piece of shit. But we also cover old school lifting and a bunch of other stuff. It was just a little casual Sunday for us. So if you like this type of video, please let us know in the comment section below so that we can make more of them for you guys. And enjoy the show. Welcome to the newest Hatecast, and today I'm joined by Jamie.
Yo, yo.
So this one's going to be a little bit different. We have no topic, really. We're just going to casually rant on things, but hopefully you enjoy that. Now, there is something that Jamie has made me aware of. There are oddly specific rules that the royals aren't allowed to do. Okay? I'm gonna name off a few, and then we'll give our thoughts here. Eat shellfish or meat cooked rare.
They're not allowed to eat meat cooked rare.
Shellfish and rarely cooked meats pose a high risk of food poisoning than other foods, and royals can't let an upset stomach get in the way of their duties.
Well, I mean, British food is dog shit anyway, and they boil the fuck out of their meat, so I guess that's not really a problem.
Like, that's a level of micromanagement that I just don't get. Sign autographs. Now, this one I get, right? So, for security purposes, to prevent people from forging their signature, right? That's fine. That's fucking fine. Although, there is one issue with that. Prince Harry married a movie star that signed a bunch of autographs. So, I'm sure that's going to become a problem later.
Yeah, well. Yeah, they're going to have to revise that one. I guess he's going to become king, though, right? So you can change these rules.
See, now that is something that I just... Now, okay. You know, so just for clarity's sake, just to be completely honest with you guys, I'm American. So I do not get the whole royal family thing and the rules and everything because I wasn't educated in that. Are they allowed to change rules like that?
You know, I mean, what's the point of being king otherwise? They had one king, he founded the Anglican Church because the Catholic Church wouldn't let him get divorced. And he was sick of that bitch, so he was just like, fuck it then. We're not Catholic anymore. And everybody was like, wait, what? That's why they have the whole problem with Northern Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah, because he just wanted to get divorced. And he was like, yeah, fuck that shit.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus. Get political. I don't. See, again, the actress kind of already fucking broke that because she's all about saving the planet. She's going green, all that stuff, right? Like
That's not necessarily. I mean, we've made that a political issue, but it's not. That's really not so much a political issue as a social issue, I think.
Well, wouldn't the getting political? Wouldn't that be having a clear-cut decision?
No, that would be, it would be more like lobbying, I think. So like trying to encourage the government to adopt more green policies and things like that. And the British government's already real green, so it's not like she really has to do much work there.
To be fair. This one's the one that sparked this play Monopoly. They're not allowed to fucking play Monopoly. So, what the fuck? Apparently Prince Andrew reportedly banned the game of Monopoly in royal households because it became too vicious.
That's awesome.
That's also a very true statement about Monopoly.
Yeah, I mean, how many fistfights did you get into as a kid in Monopoly? Because somebody's always trying to cheat. It was always a fucking banker. You never trust a banker in Monopoly.
Fuck that. I get in fistfights as an adult with that shit. Fuck that. So wear a dress without stockings. This one's another one that I think I don't necessarily have a problem with, just because it's like it's it's just a dress code, I guess. I mean, it's different strokes.
They can also never be seen in casual clothing. When they're out in public, they have to be in formal clothing.
So do they look forward to their old like sweatpants and stuff? Like
I would assume
does the queen just have like a complete like blackout room where all it is like a TV with Netflix on it and fucking sweatpants?
Sweatpants and a big cooler of ice cream?
Yeah. Where she just sits there and whines about being queen and not being able to dress casual. I don't know how.
And the fact she can't take selfies. She's just whines about that.
Oh, take selfies with fans. I see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yo, even their baby has a dress code. He always wears tailored shorts. He's never allowed to wear pants. That's got to be the weirdest fucking rule I ever heard of. Like, it's cold outside. A kid can't wear fucking pants?
I don't fucking know. Like, that's a little bit extreme. Wear bright nail polish, too, which, again, that's one of those things I get. Like, it's, you want to be seen as royal, blah, blah, blah. I get that.
Yeah, but I mean, then they're out there rocking French manicures looking like strippers.
Could you just imagine, like, everyone's seen, like, that one woman that just has, like, way too much makeup on. She looks like a fucking clown, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the queen coming out like that?
That would be fucking hilarious.
That would make headlines. The queen has lost her marbles. And it's like, no.
Looking like Mimi from the Drew Carey show?
Yes. Yes.
You know what? Media. I think that's an appropriate place to say, yes, queen. Whatever that fucking means.
I think that's some new fucking... I don't know. I don't get that either. Like, I'm so far out of the fucking loop with all this stuff. Like, half of this new shit that's coming out, I don't get. Like, I recently had to find out what flossing was, right?
What does that mean?
So flossing,
it's a rap term.
Flossing is a dance.
Is it?
Yes, and it was made popular. Now, hold on. I'm going to have to Google this to make sure that I'm not fucking up, because I know the internet. So, yeah, so the floss dance was banned by schools now, just because it's become so popular because of things like Fortnite. Now, on Fortnite, which is a video game, for those not in the know.
What does dancing have to do with Fortnite?
Hold on. So, back in the day when you killed somebody and you just teabag the shit out of them?
I never actually did that, but it was always you fucking campers that did it.
Yeah, so you just fucking sit
there.
And
I knew you were a camper. That's why I called camper.
Yeah. So you just sit there and you fucking teabag them. You just sit there and you press crouch, over and over again to make them know that you really just killed them, right? It's like rubbing their face in it. Flossing, the floss dance is the exact same thing in Fortnite, right? So they do the emote after they killed you. Now, some students in primary school, I believe... Let's see where this is at. In Devon. I don't know where the fuck Devon is. But anyway.
There's a Devon in Pennsylvania that's by Villanova University. Otherwise, it's in the UK.
Okay. And I love the journalism on this stuff, by the way. They say, it's being banned in schools all over the world. No, it's one school.
Journalism has really, really taken a nosedive recently. And I know people bag on me on Reddit for the fact that I put porn and vulgarity in my blogs, but there's still a level of erudition there that is rarely matched in any kind of journalism. And I'm reading shit thinking to myself, this person is barely literate. How in the fuck did they get this job?
I don't know, man. And you know what? The thing with your blog, though, that I like is like 3 minutes of being on the website. 3 seconds of being on the website. You know what you get, right?
Yep.
Like, there's no, guise. There's no ruse. There's no sense of, oh, you pulled one on me. But when it comes to these journalists, when it comes to these journalists and the way that they portray things like the floss dance, the viral dance craze being banned in schools, right? All over the world. It's like, no. It's being banned in one. That was you lying. That was you clickbait. That was a clickbait headline. Which, again, I know clickbait works, but holy shit. Anyway.
Somebody once accused me of clickbait, and I had to Google it to find out what it was. And it's whenever you're on one of those goddamn things where you have to keep hitting next, and there's all these ads popping up trying to, like, get you to click them instead of clicking next because you want to see, like, who the second biggest NFL bust was or something like that. No. Then it's the shit at the bottom, right? That's clickbait.
No, well, here's the thing.
It's like this guy adopted a dog, and then like the whole world blew up, and he found his best friend, and then the world jumped up and fucked him. And you have to click through like 1,000 ads to get to like, well, he was living next to an area that banned pit bulls, and so they tried to. People actually told on this guy. Like, they called the municipality and were like, this guy owns a fucking pit bull, because they had his area code or his zip code, and they thought his zip code crossed 2 townships, and it's illegal in one township, not illegal in his. And the town came and took his dog away, and he was like, what the fuck? And like, they put it in a kill shelter. It was a whole fucking thing. But so this clickbait acts like this shit happened yesterday, and it happened like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's like, so I don't even click those fucking things anymore.
Well, it's going around in the fitness industry too. I mean, like, it directly affects the industry we're in, because you'll have articles like the best 3 grip exercises that you're not doing, and it's like you go on that website and it's like farmers carries, right? And then it's like a 2 or 3 paragraph explanation of how to do a farmer's carry, stuff like that. That's still clickbait, but I believe that that's acceptable, right? Because you may not be doing farmer's carries and stuff like that, but it's still clickbait. Now, the whole ridiculous clickbait, like the someone got baptized and you won't believe what happened next, and it's like, oh, you're pulling on the heartstrings of America by bringing up religion and all this other shit. Like, come on. That's just blatant, I want your click, I want your advertising revenue. Bullshit journalism.
Yeah, the whole thing is just terrible. There's so much bad writing in our industry now. And, I accept the criticism that some people just don't like vulgarity and pornography, and that they think that it's unnecessary. But the information I provide is unique to our company, to my writing style, and they're not going to get it anywhere else. So either you suck it the fuck up, or you miss out. Either way.
Well, not only that, but like it's 2018. If you're offended by images of porn, what are you doing on the internet?
It's not chicks complaining either. I have been told multiple times by women anonymously on Facebook, don't take the porn out of your website again because we love it. And I'm like, all right, well, hey. No, it's just 15-year-old Redditors get their panties in a bunch about it.
And you know what? You never know until you read the article. I mean, Jamie could be talking about a great way to, increase grip strength, like we mentioned before. And then he has a picture of a girl getting fisted. I mean, you don't know if that builds grip strength or not. You got to read the article to find out.
Exactly. And it always ties into the article somehow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't get that criticism, but then again, man, I'll tell you, it's, I like the more vulgar out there stuff just because real life's just not that interesting, right? Like, you go on a website, you read someone's writing because they take you on a journey. You don't sit there and read the writings of, like, I don't fucking know, some boring ass.
People do. I mean, Mike Tusher researches his shit, and like he provides good information. But who the fuck wants to read it? Because I know I don't. I mean, I have slogged through some of his shit. It's like you're basically reading an anatomy textbook. He's using jargon that's unnecessary, and at the end of the day, he's not giving you any new information.
Also, you have those guys in the fitness industry right now that are like, There was a 0.01% increase in bench press. I have a boner. And it's like, God damn, you spreadsheet nerd. It's fine, though. We need you. The scientific community, the fitness industry needs you. But holy shit. Don't get so excited over 0.01% increase.
And you know what's funny? They're jacking their dicks over that because they got to build this spreadsheet and plan their shit out for 5 years. And they're getting all excited that they're going to get 7% on their bench and 14% on their squat. And I can show you, there's a way you can raise your grip strength by 7% literally instantly. It's to do a key up, like an old school karate key up while you lift.
Okay.
Like grunting while you lift actually gives you about 7% of your hand strength. So I would assume that translates to other shit as well, because a 7% increase in grip strength is a fuckload of grip strength.
You know, it's funny you mention that, because I was having a discussion about 90s era bodybuilders with a friend of mine, right? And we had mentioned the fact that, you know, in the 90s, we really saw some really strong bodybuilders come out of the woodworks, right? I mean, we had people that were not just benching 225 anymore for like 20 reps. We had people like 405 on the incline, like fucking, 500-pound flat bench, squatting 600 pounds. And you really saw this concentration on just heavy ass lifting that I just think is still missing to this very day. And I get the planning out. Like, I get, wanting, especially if you're one of those guys that beat your dicks to, spreadsheets. I get wanting to have everything down on paper. Training logs are not something new either. Training logs have been going around for, since the 60s, 70s, people just writing down what they did or writing down what they want to do, going into the gym and doing it. Like, that's not a new concept.
But they weren't commonplace. There were certain guys who did them, and they did them religiously. And everybody else was like, I just fucking go in the gym and lift. It was guys like Frank Zane who were like, yeah, well, I meditated a bunch, and then I fucking wrote down all the things that I did, and I did this, and then I did that, and then I wrote all that down, and then I wrote my feelings about it. It's like, nobody wants to read that. Well, apparently people do now, and I don't understand why.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's when it comes to those guys, there were a few that were very successful at what they did, right? Now, I'm not saying they got there because of that, but everybody think they did, Right.
That's the problem.
It was, somebody going into the whole, let me hear about your training methodology. Oh, I have it all written down. And then you see this almost like Dr. Chicken Scratch written down. It's like, it's not legible. It's fucking, it's badly formatted and everything. And they're like, this must be the secret of why you're so strong. And what you don't see is those guys eat like monsters. They lift like monsters, regardless of what they write down.
I have another excellent example of that. I'm writing about this guy, Hugh Cassidy, right now, who's, I've got like 10 really good articles in like 3/4 of the way done. It's just that last quarter takes the longest. It's the longest bit. But so he had this very unique squatting style, and he was a huge squatter back in the day, but he was one of those like eat big, be big, squat big kind of guys. Like he wasn't pound for pound crushing everybody, but at the time it was just like put the biggest numbers up, and that's what he was about. And he was a lifter who squatted with this guy, Mark Chalet, who ended up heavily influencing Mark Rippetoe. Like, so Chalet learned from Cassidy, and then Rippetoe trained in Chalet's gym.
Kind of the old school way of spreading information, too.
Exactly, but here's the problem. Hugh Cassidy is the only successful squatter who would look down while squatting. Right. He would look at a spot on the floor and squat. And so he trained at Mark Chalet's gym, and Mark Chalet must have told Rippetoe about it, or Rippetoe heard about Hugh Cassidy. And everybody Hugh Cassidy kind of mentored also looked down while squatting. We don't know any of their names because none of them ever amounted to shit. But Ripito took that and for some reason made it the focal point of his squat form. So everybody who knows starting strength stares at the floor while they squat, which is fucking wrong. Like, it shifts your weight forward, and you end up losing the weight, or you end up tucking your ass. So all these people who are bitching about their fucking, what do they call it? Ass wink.
Butt wink.
It's because you're looking down. It's also because you're going too goddamn deep. But it's one of those things where it's like one guy did it and he wrote excessively about it and told a bunch of people about it, and they all took the one example and were like, well, that must be what it is. Meanwhile, nobody else on the planet has ever done that and been successful.
Well, I have a little project for you. So who was this guy before Mark Ripito?
Mark Chalet, who's another goddamn guy nobody should follow, because Mark Chalet, it's another thing Ripito spread. Chalet, when he had already gotten massively strong, just cut his lifting down to the 3 big lifts. That's all he did. So Rip was like, well, it worked for this one guy, so I'm going to do that. I mean, there were a couple other guys who did that. There's a couple other guys who did it, but I mean, Chalet was the guy who influenced Ripito.
Now, when it comes to Chalet, when he was the guy who looked down, correct?
Well, Cassidy was the guy who looked down. I don't know if Chalet looked down or not.
Sorry, I blanked out on the name. Cassidy.
No, you're fine. Okay,
so are there any pictures of him and the way he lifts?
Yeah.
Because something I'd be interested to hear is, or see, is because when you look at somebody...
He had a fully rounded back while he was squatting, too. It was very unique. It would be like following Bob Peoples' style of pulling with, like... Bob Peoples used to pull with a completely round back, straight-legged, and he would blow out. So he had no air in his lungs before he'd start his pull.
Right. Well,
which would not work for anyone else.
What I was just saying is, what I was going to say is, it'd be interesting to look at him because, usually I'm a good judge at, like, why a person lifts like that, because there's usually a reason. Like, you have people that squat wider because their hips are either wider or narrower. You have people that squat low bar or high bar because they don't have any traps. You have people that squat, with a... there was actually one individual I knew that squat with a little bit of a staggered stance because one of his legs was shorter than the other, right?
Yep. Here, I'm going to send you pictures. And then he also deadlifted looking down, which is absolutely incorrect.
Okay.
But it just happened to work for him, I guess.
Yeah, see, I can't do that. I can't look down and deadlift. Now,
everybody loses the weight forward. Like, you lose the weight around to the top of your shins if you look down while you deadlift.
Now, combining with, because what I've noticed with me specifically is if I look down while I'm squatting, plus I squat too deep, I lose basically all tightness in my lower back. Like, at where you hit that break right below parallel, right, is where I just completely fucking lose it. It's like day and night, right? Because I played around with different squat stance before, right? I understand which one works for me. And that right now, that's a little bit wider. Oh, let me look at these. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's another thing I've encouraged people to do with all my writing is to examine the fact that there are people who have been massively successful in powerlifting. I haven't done it with Olympic weightlifting because that's not my forte and I can't really speak to it. But but with powerlifting, it's very obvious. You can see the difference in technique and style, and people can be massively successful with different styles. So you should really experiment. But people now don't want to experiment. They just want to hear what's the best way. And it's like, you got to fucking figure it out. Yeah, but what is the best way? So I can just do that one. It's like, you have to try shit and figure it out. And they just keep coming back to you. So what should I do? Well, I just fucking said figure it out. That's what you should do.
So in that picture, if you can send me, after this is done, send me a link to that, the picture that's viewed from the front of him, you can see that his hips are a little bit wider, right?
Uh-huh.
He has very long tibulas, And he also is not very lean, which, by the way, guys, that does matter with your squat form. there's a reason why some competitive bodybuilders, you've seen them in the gym, like, with, what everybody considers pussy pads, right? Is because they're lean enough where every little thing on their skin hurts, right?
It's also because they have shitty traps.
They do. And, traps is another thing, like, it's highly genetic, just kind of like calves. You ever notice that? Like, there's people that just, for the life of them, do not have any traps. And it's sad. It looks bad. But yeah,
Do you really think that's genetic?
I think that there are body parts that are more genetic than others. Like, when it comes to whether or not you actually have a good set of calves versus not having a good set of calves, I do believe that's highly genetic. And
I mean, you can have high calves, I'll give you that. And
well,
you can, it can be harder for you to develop your calves. Like, I have shit forearms. I can freely admit that. My forearms suck. Yeah. I mean, I try to bring them up, but I don't really pound at them. My efforts to bring them up are basically restricted to doing reverse curls like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
but that's also because of...
But are they small enough for you to give a shit? Like, that's another thing, is people have these lacking body parts, but they think they look good, or they think that they're not bad, or they think that, who gives a shit, And then that's where they run into having smaller muscle groups like that, That's another factor, and just like I said with the calves, it's those high calves and the low calves and all these other ones. Those are genetic factors that do attribute to the look. People with higher calves tend to pack on less muscle mass on their calves, just because their calves are shorter, right?
There's a reason for that, actually. That's actually an environmental reason.
But they're better jumpers. They are better
Which doesn't
jumpers.
make any sense at all.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. I do know that when it comes to people with high calves, they tend to put less importance on calves because it seems like, quote unquote, they have small calves and they will for the rest of their life. That defeatist attitude when it comes to building a certain body part. And that's okay. Like, I'm not saying that's bad, but you do have to understand that, just like with, Mr. Cassidy here, he has wide hips. He's not very lean. He leans forward, but I'm guessing he's doing some form of breathing with his diaphragm, that hard brace, because that's something people don't realize either, is when you're under a significant load where if something fucks up, you could die. Like, we've all been there, right? Like, the first time you put up, 405 on the squat rack, right? And you try and squat with that thing. Well, guess what happens if you lose tightness or you fall with that weight or something like that? You could seriously hurt yourself. And a lot of these guys, they don't want anything affecting their breathing and stuff like that, which is another little interesting side note. A lot of the guys in the 90s started to use something called Nubane, right? Which is a narcotic painkiller that didn't affect your respiratory system like other painkillers. That's why it was so popular amongst bodybuilders. Problem was, it was highly addictive.
It was also because it just got them fucked up.
Well, yeah, but it also allowed them to train, like, in the 90s and in the early 2000s when Nubane was around in like full force, people were already kind of adopting the heavy lifting lifestyle because people like Lee Priest, Ronnie Coleman, stuff like that, Dorian Yates, and what ended up happening is they all started squatting like 315, 405, 495, stuff like that. And when you're under that weight, anything that affects your breathing could fuck you up, could make your lifts go down. And they didn't want that. They wanted to compete with the big dogs. So, but anyway, that was a long, drawn out little history thing. But yeah, I was just discussing that with him, and it just comes to show you that lifting heavy is something that people who want to pack on a significant amount of muscle mass, they try and get away from it. Like, they try and do these little training tricks, like, there's a new, I guess, fad or whatever. Like, I know blood flow restricted training is interesting, right? And it is.
Occlusion training is interesting, but goddamn, it hurts.
I mean, I'll give them that, but I also worry about occlusion training when it comes to people not implementing it the correct way. I mean, there's no reason whatsoever. Like, you should never restrict blood flow around your knee. You know?
Yeah, because occlusion training is just shy of tourniquet training.
Right.
I mean, you could end up with necrotic tissue doing it wrong.
And the same thing with your elbow. Like, I see a bunch of these guys with, like, this tight tourniquet around their bicep. What they don't realize is they're restricting blood flow to their elbow. You know? There's damage that can occur that I don't think people really think about, because it's not hurting them right now. You know, that whole, it'll be fine, it's right now.
Which is funny, because all these kids, like, you see some of these threads on Reddit, and they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to use, like, I'm not advocating steroid use for anybody under the age of, like, 30. But they're saying, well, I would never use that because it's going to have all these negative health impacts, like, when I'm 70. And it's like, you're going to have shitty health when you're 70 anyway, so it really doesn't fucking matter one way or the other. And two, that's pure speculation. Whereas occlusion training with a tourniquet on, it doesn't take a logical leap or any kind of, like, shenanigans with statistics that don't actually show any negative health impacts, like, other than some artery hardening or, like, heart enlargement in, like, massive doses. Like, it doesn't take a stretch of the imagination to say training with a tourniquet on probably is, you might lose a finger down the road, or you could end up with nerve damage, you know?
That's the one that worries me. I mean, fuck, do you know how easy nerve damage is to get? Especially if you're applying pressure to the same spot over and over again for, let's just say, 4 days a week.
And it's very difficult to fix.
Yeah, I mean, that one of the people that work for us went through some nerve damage. Ed actually had neck surgery because he had significant nerve injury from his I think he said a car wreck, although I will get that corrected. I will find out what exactly it was from, but he had to have neck surgery to get his corrected, and it had just been affecting him for so long, he didn't realize exactly how much it was affecting him until he got it fixed. And it's one of those things where it's like the gates opened, the light shining down, the clouds have parted, and everything is peachy keen. You know, because nerve damage sucks. I'll tell you that.
I can't imagine it's fun. But is that why Ed trains like he is trying to make it into Men's Health?
Yeah. So he
really, like, every time I see him do a video, it's like he's holding a kettlebell overhead and doing lunges and shit like that. And I'm like, this really, like, he's doing, like, push-ups in a row with the kettlebells. So he's ripped to hell, but I'm just like, I couldn't train like that.
Well, I mean, you know, the dude's doing what he can.
That's what I was saying. I guess that's why.
Yeah, he's been in the game. I mean, when you had your, what was it, your tricep injury? You had a tricep injury.
Yeah. I had a tricep and a bicep. Same arm.
So what did you do exactly for that? What did you do to recover? I mean, did you do anything a little bit lighter or what? What exactly?
With my tricep, I didn't have a lot of guidance on what to do, and also it was before they stopped casting people. So I was in a cast for a full arm cast for like 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
So I just trained legs basically, like, and then because I knew that there was a 75% carryover from one side of the body to the other in terms of strength. So I trained the shit out of my right side. I was doing bench press, like one arm bench press on the hammer strength, curls, overhead press, all kinds of shit, just like one arm. And then when I got out of the cast, because I didn't have anybody to really ask about shit at the time, what I started doing was like just high rep band pushdowns with really, really light bands, and gradually working on my range of motion. And I wasn't supposed to have full range of motion for a very long period of time, but I hated my fucking doctor. He was just a butcher, and like I woke up in tremendous pain, and they wouldn't give me painkillers. It was like I woke up yelling, and the nurses started yelling at me for yelling.
Is he one of those guys that says, you know, like, oh, don't move it, you're gonna die if you move it? I went into one appointment, and he was like, all right, let's check your range of motion, and I just like showed him I had full range of motion, and he was like, what have you been doing? And I was like, fixing my arm.
I don't know what you're asking me. And he was super pissed, and I was like, fuck you, I'm never coming back here. So what I did...
just dropped the mic.
Yeah, exactly. So I did find out for my bicep, because I knew a lot of strong men who had torn biceps, and they were like, don't listen to a fucking thing the doctor says. The day after they get you out of the soft cast, and they were like, you can toss your soft cast after like 3 days. You can wear it when you want, but like you don't have to be in it all the time, because just don't lift anything with it and you won't tear it. So about 4 or 5 weeks in, I started doing 1 pound dumbbell curls. And then 2 days later, I jumped to 3 pound dumbbell curls. And then 3 days later, I jumped to 5 pound dumbbell curls. And so I just kept doing that. And because I had to wait a week and a half to get surgery, my bicep is still really short. So I run into a lot of like cramping issues. Like yesterday, I was trying to do 21s on preacher curls, and my left bicep cramped up, and I almost passed out. And I was like, nope, fuck it, I'm gonna go do reverse curls. So sometimes you gotta like make those concessions. But I competed in a powerlifting meet 3 months after I tore my bicep, like 3 months to the day after I tore my bicep, and destroyed everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of what Ed's doing. Is he's kind of building up a streak now. When you have, because he has some disc problems too, right? Because he's been in the game for a long time. And
how do you get disc problems? Like, that's one thing I never understood. Because my spinal erectors are so fucking strong, I don't think my discs could actually bulge out in between my vertebrae.
He played contact sports, man.
But didn't we all? Or did he play them in college or what?
College, yeah. So he's
Gotcha.
He's had them for a while. I mean, you know, when it comes down to it, it's like sometimes disc, you know, if you have a structural integrity issue with your disc, sometimes that's just genetic. And I hate to use that term because everybody uses it as such a fucking excuse. But it's true with disc issues, and I mean, you know, something else I found out is you see all these, you know, bigger people, like these extremely obese people with like lymphedema, and that's genetic too. Like 99% of the lymphedema cases are genetic. There's people who are like 110 pounds with lymphedema.
I've never heard of it.
Well, I hadn't either until I
mean, I guess,
did some
but I mean,
research
there's a
on
lot of people with type 2 diabetes in China who aren't obese. So
Well, they have such good circulation that they usually don't notice the lymphedema. The problem with being obese and having lymphedema is you have poor circulation, right? You're not active. You have, you know, all this weight pressing down on you, and I mean, for fuck's sake, cellulitis. When it comes to having cellulitis and lymphedema, you know, you can have little pockets of water go septic underneath your skin, which is a whole nother level of, oh my god, fucking help. You know, fucking my health is wrecked.
Yeah, I mean, you're like that's something you would think you got from doing crocodile, not something you would think that just like happened. You know.
Let me tell you something, man. That's another form of great journalism. Crocodile, man. That was fucking cool. Crocodile was a crock of shit. Like that didn't actually do that to you. You know?
Then what did that to them?
It was just a bunch of people who combined drugs. I mean, PCP was in there too. You know? Angel dust. I mean, that's one of those things that will fuck you up. I mean,
those people were rotting. Like, I remember pictures of people who had, like, no muscle on their arm between their hand and their elbow. And I was like, how do they still have any tissue on their hand? It was crazy.
Also, that stuff in the countries, because it wasn't actually brought into the U.S.
Yeah, it was. It ended up in, they had...
Yeah, but it's the same stuff. And what ended up happening is, you know, after researching it myself a little bit, is... the issue was it was made with stuff that was toxic. Yeah. So people got rotting flesh and stuff like that because of the stuff that was in it. Like, people injected it, people snorted it, people, you know, all that other stuff. So there were plenty of delivery methods. I mean, one thing you don't see, and one thing that was prevalent with crocodile is people snorted it and they ended up getting like deviated septums and stuff like that. Like, that's fucking...
You can get a deviated septum from anything now. I mean,
yeah,
my septum is literally sideways.
You can get it from fucking Flonase, and they sell that stuff over the counter now. It's great.
Can you really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if my nasal spray addiction has helped or hurt my septum, but I literally can't breathe without it. So
give me another hit of that Flonase. Come on, man.
No, I go with the 4-way shit. It's got phenylephrine hydrochloride in it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Like, I've been in the hospital before and, like, awakened there, and I just was like, give me nasal spray. I can't breathe. And they were like, yeah, well, we can give you this and we can give you that. And I was like, just go and get me 4-way. Like, just please. And they were like, yeah, we can't give you that. And I was like, motherfucker! Because doctors hate that shit because it's crazy. It's the only effective nasal spray, but it's also, like, the most addictive thing on the planet. You use it for 2 days, fuck it. You get a life. You're just going to buy it for life. So.
Well, hell, with all those nurses around, they probably thought you meant something else. But, I mean, you know, that'll help cure you, too. A little bit 4-way. So, you know, I used to use Afrin, right? But Afrin's one of those things where that shit will actually, you use it for 3 days, it's great. You use it for 4 or 5 days, it makes your congestion worse than what it was before.
That's oxymetrazone. See, I know my nasal sprays.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
When I say that I'm addicted to nasal spray, it is. I've had people come up to me at meets and they're like, what is that? Does that help? And I'm like, it helps me because otherwise I can't breathe, but it won't help you. And they're like,
oxy,
what
man.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah, no. But that stuff will fuck you up. I mean, my daughter, you know, she had some nasal issues and she wanted to use some Afrin. I'm like, no, you do not. Because that's going to make it worse, and then you're going to start using it every day. And my mom, I worry about her because she uses Afrin like it's going out of style. She does one squirt in the morning and one squirt at night. And she says she's quote-unquote good to go, but she's still, like, congested all hell throughout the day. And, I mean, try to keep telling to her, but it's like, she ain't going to... She's been doing this for a long time.
She's got to switch to my shit, man. She'll be right as rain.
There you go. Well, I might have to get that information from you, so... But I do know that...
My dad was a big Vicks guy. And because I use the phenylephrine, so my sinuses are very, like, they're sensitive. So, like... You fire some Vicks up my nose and, like, my eyes start watering and shit. I tried using, I tried using poppers once. That damn near killed me. But I tried using, that's an entirely different story. I tried using, it was just one of my friends was like, here, try this. And I tried it, and I was like, well, that's awful. But I tried using ammonia caps at a meet. Before a pull, it was before my second pull, and I wish I had video, like high-def video of it. I just had, because I took a huge huff of it, I had snot just running down my face. My eyes were swelled shut, like, and water's going down my face because my eyes were watering so bad, and I was just like staggered off the thing. I was like, I didn't even know if I got the lift because I couldn't see a fucking thing, couldn't breathe.
You just have a sensitive schnoz, don't you?
Yeah, well, I've broken my nose so many times and never had it set by a doctor that it's just, when I say my septum's sideways, if you look at it, it is literally sideways. When I get my my nose fixed, I'm going to have to just, like, lose my septum piercing because I've had it done 4 times now and it gets worse each time, and I don't think I want to go through it, to straighten it out, because otherwise my septum ring will literally be sideways in my nose.
That's the one thing that scares the shit out of me. Like, I'm okay when it comes to pain and everything like that, but, like, people piercing their septums, did it hurt?
The first couple times it didn't hurt. The last time, some water came out of my eyes. And the guy started laughing, and he was like, the big guys always have a problem. And I was like, that was the 5th time. And he was like, oh my God, I wouldn't do that 3 times, never mind 5. All right, high five. So... The worst one,
Jamie, those are called tears.
I had
it's
my
not water coming out of your eyes.
I had my Medusa done, which is just above your upper lip, like in that little divot. Oh my God! The piercer before I had it done, she was like, "This is going to be the worst piercing you ever had." And I was like, "Well, I had my labret done, and that wasn't bad. My septum wasn't bad. My bridge wasn't bad. My PA didn't hurt at all." And she was like, "Yeah, this is going to really hurt." And I was like, yeah, I don't buy it. I stood up in the chair going, you motherfucker, while she put the needle through. It was unbelievable.
Famous last words. Yeah, I don't buy it.
Yeah, I don't buy it. Dude, my PA and my piercer was hot as shit, and it was just whoop, and I was like, wait, did you do it? Because meanwhile, I'm just staring at her tits, because she had all these satanic tattoos and shit and was hot as hell, and I was just staring at her and just like, well, I could not have picked a better piercer to do this. And then she was like, all right, all done. And I was like, well, God, wow, all right.
I think we're done here. Okay. Yeah.
Are we
Thanks for the
Are we married now?
Okay. Yeah, that would be a great way to officiate a wedding, wouldn't it? Like have
That really would.
I
The
wonder
girl
if
get a
that's-
hood piercing, the guy get a. Hey, anybody wants to steal that idea? Feel free.
and videotape it,
Yeah,
record it, videotape. What the fuck am I like?
for
70?
science.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you weren't even old enough to have a videotape. Like, have you ever even used a VCR?
Hey man, I've used a VCR. No, I had a self-rewinding VCR. Thank you very much. It was in the shape of a fucking car. That's how fucking baller I was, right? It was given to me by my sister, and
that's a tape rewinder. That's not the actual VCR. You had to
well,
play
I know
it
what a
with something
VCR
else.
is.
Okay,
VCR
yeah.
plays it, yes.
Yeah, because you had to always rewind your shit before you brought it to that thing, or they'd charge you a buck.
But what didn't make any fucking sense is like we had a VCR that had rewinding capabilities. Like we were already stocked and ready to go. And then we get this fucking hideous, well, it was fucking cool, right? But it's like this red car. Like it's like obviously for a kid, right? We just plop it there in the entertainment center man, that's one thing about family life. You just start acquiring shit. You just start acquiring shit all the time, and shit's just everywhere. Like, we have a garage. I think it's got a bunch of junk in it, but we have a garage.
Yeah, I'm looking around this basement, just thinking of all of the shit that. I mean, we would need 2 dumpsters to throw, but all the shit should go away. But it would be so hard to get it out of the basement.
Yeah, you're telling me
the door is so small, and then she hung all my hats on the inside of the door, so there's just like no way to get through that fucking door with a big box.
Oh man, don't worry about it. It'll be okay.
I just want to get an incendiary grenade and just toss it in this fucking place, walk away. Like I'll give up my TV.
You're gonna have to fucking like carry those things out. You're gonna have to take them out of boxes one by one and just walk them through the doorway if your shoulders can fit.
Dude, there's a stack of lumber in here. It's gotta be 500 or 600 pounds of lumber. It's all 2x4s. I have no idea. This entire house is filled with things that have no purpose. There have got to be like 20 ancient complete sets of tools that you can't find any of the tools you actually need.
Hell yeah.
I know where there's one rusty ass hammer somewhere down
Let me
here.
get my hand crank saw. Hold on.
I'm looking at a metal iguana. Why would anybody want a metal iguana? Like, why would you want a statue of an iguana? There's a Thigh Master that I'm looking at.
Hell yeah.
Like, that's how much crap is down here. There's ductwork that doesn't match any of the ductwork in the house.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's astonishing.
Yeah, well, you know what? Hey.
And that is not the only stack of lumber in here. The 600 pounds of lumber or whatever. There's 3 doors sitting behind me.
George Carlin had a bit about just like acquiring shit and then moving into a bigger house so that you can put more shit into it. And
yeah.
Doing the same thing over and over and over again until your life's just full of shit.
I had to lay down the law. I was like, you have to throw away at least 3 things for every one thing you buy from now on.
That's fucking hard, man. I'm not even sure I could do that. Well, you know what? Actually, I take
Dude,
that
I
back.
throw away
I
shit that I use just to get it out of my way. I fucking hate clutter. I'm not a tidy person either. So to avoid clutter, I don't just clean a lot because I'm not into cleaning. It's not my thing. I just throw shit away. Like, I'll rebuy it if I need it.
See, you and I are cut from the same cloth there. I'll throw something away, like a shoe or something like that, and I'm like, where the fuck is my shoe? You threw it away. Well, god damn it. Then I'll go buy it. Fuck it. That's like a $50 lesson that I just taught myself. That I just don't listen
It's a lesson
to.
you never learned. Because you know what? In that moment, you have to get it out of your way.
Yeah, because it's fucking stupid. This thing's been like sitting here for more than 3 days. Like, people say that if you haven't used something in 6 months, just throw it away. It's like, well, goddamn. Half the shit in my house isn't used for 6 months. And then, like, 3 years down the line, I'll pick it back up and go, oh, yeah, this thing that I forgot that I had, I'm going to use it once. And then never use it again.
That's why I just throw it the fuck away.
Man, there's certain things that I can't throw away. Like I have this old Game Boy game that my dad got me that has, of course it's sentimental, right? But it has my name written on it so that my friends wouldn't steal it because they had a habit of doing that. And I always had that to look back on. I've never played that shit in the last 10 years. Never. It was the old original Game Boy. But I keep it around. It was.
I imagine you could get a little money for that if you sold it on eBay.
I could. It's Pokemon Blue. Because I was one of those nerds. Oh, hell yeah. You've got a whole new world, Jamie. You got a whole new world. I still follow along on the Pokemon stuff. What now? I'm looking forward to the new Pokemon on Switch. That's how much of a fucking nerd I am.
That's not even being a nerd. That's just having terrible fucking taste in games.
Well, you know what? I could name all 151. I'm not going to, though. It's okay.
All 151 what?
Pokemon.
There's that many Pokemon?
Man. No, you haven't even caught up, man. There's like 1,000 plus now.
I never
Don't even worry.
Never was into them. Never will get caught up. Never at all.
Well,
it's
I grew up in the 90s. I grew up in the 90s. It was the only thing to do outside. What's that? What the fuck is outside? No, it'd be okay.
It'll be okay?
It'd be fine.
You sure?
It'd be fine. But with that being said, man, so back on to the fitness shit, you know. I mean, we get side. Actually, let's go back to the things royal people aren't allowed to do. So use social media. The actress has already broken that. Jesus Christ. A lot of these things, you know, eat. Okay, this one's stupid. Eat at a different pace than the queen.
You're also not allowed to eat after the queen, which doesn't make any sense to me because I grew up in a house where Emily Post was like fucking law. So I know etiquette. I might not seem like a cultured person, but like I have excellent etiquette. And you're supposed to wait for the matron of the house to eat first, but I've never in my life heard of a rule where you are not allowed to eat after she's done. And how are you supposed to know when she's done eating? I guess when you set down your fork in a particular way, your fork and your knife. But so you're supposed to watch that bitch the entire time you're eating? Fuck that.
When she gets up to take the royal shit, that's when, you know.
I guess.
She's done. Let's see here. These are British royal bizarre eating habits and unspoken dining rules. How are they fucking dining rules if they're unspoken, by the way? The Queen's mother was always late for dinner, so they lied about the time. That's actually family dynamics. I can't hate on them for that. Like, that's some shit like, you know, whenever I had something to do in the morning, my mother told me, it's time to get up at like 7 a.m. and I need to be somewhere by like 1 o'clock. It'd be fine. Everyone gets their glad rags on for dinner.
What the fuck is a glad rag?
Well, fuck. Okay, people. While we're Googling this, why don't you Google this? A glad... Oops.
I've never heard of that.
I don't know what a fucking glad rag is. Handbags and glad rag. Okay, glad rags. Oh! That can't be right.
What is it?
Okay. It's an old British term, mainly Cockney, for a fancy or expensive item of clothing.
Oh, so you have to get dressed up.
Yeah, but there's a eco-friendly...
They're already dressed up. How do you get more to... What, do you have to wear a tux to dinner?
Hold on, Jamie. I got something that is so just incredibly great. Okay. Everyone uses their glad rags on for dinner, right? There are Glad Rags and this is on Google, guys. You can Google this yourself. Glad Rags eco-friendly reusable pads and menstruation cups. That's what they meant. I'm calling it here. That's what they meant.
That's strange.
It'll be okay. Once the queen's done eating. Once the queen is
done. The corgis have their own chef and footmen.
I mean, doesn't everybody's corgis?
I love corgis. I mean, I find no fault with corgis. And I've never met an ill-tempered corgi or a badly behaved corgi. But if the royal corgis are badly behaved, Like if they piss on your shoe or hump your leg, you're not allowed to reprimand them.
Okay. That would be one house where I wouldn't survive.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super nice to dogs, but when they step out of line, you let them know.
No garlic in the household.
Yeah, I told you that before we got on the thing. Isn't that straight? Like, I wouldn't be able to eat there. I mean, their food's already shit because it's British.
She
But
hated the smell of it, and she hated the taste of it.
oh, is that why?
Yeah.
So when the king decides he wants to, when that old bitch dies, he can.
Man, haven't you seen The Crown? He ain't in charge. He ain't in charge.
Who's going to be in charge? His wife?
Prince Philip is not in charge.
Well, no, when he becomes
the
king.
current king?
Because she's about to
No,
abdicate.
Yeah, no, I was talking about her husband.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's still alive?
We are incredibly uneducated on this topic. So Prince.
Yeah. My girlfriend wanted to put on the Royals for like 5 minutes, and I was like, nah, it's not going to happen. We're not
alive. He's 97 though, and he looks.
Jesus.
I know that's
pretty rare that a 97-year-old man asserts himself at any point. So, you know,
man,
you're just trying not to die.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, like you, 97% of your brain is at that point just focused on not dying.
Hey, man, there's a 96-year-old Air Force veteran in my gym, my local gym, that does pull-ups every day. How fucking cool is that? How fucking cool is that?
There's a 98-year-old guy who does the Baton Death March. Oh, well, I mean, they do a Baton Death March run every year, and this last year he did 6 miles of it.
This might be a little insensitive, but what if he croaks in the middle of a death march? How great would that read on a eulogy?
It would.
That was insensitive. I apologize, people. This is the internet, though. You should be used to it.
You're also not allowed to eat rice, potatoes, or pasta for dinner.
I'm done. No, I ain't being fucking part of the royal family. Fuck that. You know
your
what?
Carbs. I'm fat boy. Need my carbs.
Oh, I need my carbs. No, I do have a healthy carb.
What do they just eat quinoa all day long? I refuse to call it anything else.
You don't want to be like basic and call it quinoa.
I don't know if that's basic or not, but I refuse to pronounce it that way because it's spelled quinoa, and that's how I'm going to say it. God damn it.
You know what I like? I like me.
It doesn't taste that bad, actually. I assumed it would taste like kale.
It just tastes basic. It's not. I mean, it's bland. I think it's one of those things that's purposely bland. Like it's like rice. You know, like rice. You add stuff to it, and that gives it the flavor.
Oh, you put some sriracha on some white rice. I could eat that right now. Ooh.
Hell yeah. Well, no,
I could eat about anything right now. I'm starving.
I've been experimenting with tomato paste. Like using that in my foods. That stuff is bomb on anything.
Just for the potassium? You be one of those potassium guys?
No, just for like getting okay. Alright people, don't judge me, okay? I don't like regular tomatoes.
I don't either.
So tomatoes have health benefits. Supposedly. So that's why I try to include them. Great way to include them, not ketchup. Not ketchup, fucking tomato sauce or tomato paste. Quick, easy, convenient. It's one of those things I do. Like, that is one thing I wanted to kind of ask you. What are your excluding meats? Now this is where it gets like in the nitty gritty, man. Excluding meats and nuts. What are your top foods for gains?
Excluding meats and nuts.
I know, I just took away 3/4 of your diet.
Actually, no. Well, I mean, if we're just talking about like bulking,
yeah,
fucking like a meat lover's pizza. That's number 1 right there. You will pack on mass.
Man, I fucking love pizza. So I'm gonna try.
Anybody who doesn't love pizza needs to go to the camps.
You know what? Okay, to be fair, there's some okay pizza out there. Like, there's never a time where I've eaten pizza where I'm dissatisfied. You know, generally.
CC's Pizza. If you ever eat there, you will be dissatisfied.
Well, I mean, it's still
genuinely
pizza.
Awful.
It's still pizza, right?
It is. I mean, I'll get those dollar Tostitos pizzas and eat those fucking things all day long.
Hey, man, don't be talking shit on Tostitos pizzas.
No, I love those things.
They're pretty good.
These are amazing.
I'm not gonna fucking lie. Like, you know, I might, you know, there's gonna be people that judge me on this, but I love the cheap foods. Like, I'm one of those people that, you know, like, I can't get enough chicken. I can't get enough pork. You know, I like just the throwaway stuff like rice, you know, collard greens, stuff like that.
You eating collard greens?
I do. I do.
You stew them, or how do you eat them?
Well, generally, to kill the acidity of them, I use something, or to kill the bitterness of them, I use.
Oh, you got to blanch them?
No, I pan fry them.
Oh, okay.
Something acidic. So something like a little bit of red wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar, because people are all about that shit right now. Which
I just don't understand. And you know what's funny is apple cider vinegar has been a thing in the health industry since forever, because Bragg's was a big fan of it. And Bragg's used to push it on everybody. And he influenced Irvin Johnson, who came up with the original egg and milk protein powder. So, like,
yeah,
they
but
have
I think it took like one fitness personality to come along and say, yeah, I use Bragg's every day. And then, like, people just jumped on it. Like, it's fucking...
Which is weird, because I've worked in health food stores my entire adult life, and we always sold Bragg's. Every fucking store I ever worked in, we always had Bragg's.
Well, you know, a lot of these are cyclical, right? So a lot of these health... I'm not going to call them fads, because, you know, stuff like ketogenic diets and you know, red meat and stuff like that has been healthy, and it just really hasn't changed being healthy in a while, but they've come back around in popularity, and apple cider vinegar is one of those things where it'll fall off and then it'll come back and then it'll fall off and it'll come back. You know, kind of like green tea. You know, everybody, you know, like in the 90s and early 2000s was all about that green tea, and then it kind of fell off, and then it resurged. Like, green tea is still a powerhouse. Now, I mean, there's a big portion of the tea sales now in the United States are green tea. And actually, I think beating out black tea. Man, I look up some stupid, weird statistics.
Who the fuck drinks tea?
You know,
I've never actually... I mean, I've dated girls who always bought tea, but I don't think I ever saw them drink it unless they were sick. Or they would, like, had a hangover, so they drank detox tea, shit like that.
Man, God damn it. Don't bring that up, please. Oh my God.
Detox tea?
No, stop.
You don't want me to say the words detox tea? Is that what you're saying? You don't want to talk about the myriad benefits of detox tea?
God damn it.
But the licorice, man, the licorice in it.
Okay, sir. Let's fucking talk about it. You know what? Some fucking fitness girl on fucking Instagram with, by the way, collagen in her ass, wants to sit there and sell you the benefits of some fucking detox tea. Now, she says that it helps her lose weight. She says that it helps her tone her tummy. She says that it helps her never get sick. Bitch has more collagen in her ass than fucking all the bone broth in the world. It's like, goddamn, what the fuck is with that? Like, I know marketing...
Who are you talking about?
Have you not seen, like, the detox or fit teas going around?
I know that chubby broad who hates masturbation because she says Jesus makes her hate it. She, fuck is her name? She's real hot with makeup on and looks like hammered trash without it. Trish Paytas.
Okay.
Yeah, she's all about some kind of like skinny tea, and it's like, tea doesn't make you skinny. I don't want to fucking hear about it. Just shut up.
Let me break it down for you, okay? Now, you're not part of the Instagram crowd. I know a little bit about it. Now, the skinny tea, detox tea, or fit tea, right? There's these couple different brands that are going around right now. Are these teas, which are nothing but a mixture of chamomile, green tea, black tea, white tea, whatever else fucking tea they can shove in there, right? And maybe some supplements, maybe like some L-carnitine or something like that.
No, I was talking about like the detoxification tea that has like golden seal and licorice and shit like that in it. I'm talking about an entirely different thing.
Yeah. No, I'm a big believer in like, I like teas. I just don't like when they're marketed towards. And I mean, it's always these women with these gigantic asses, these small waist, right? And these
that are just photoshopped all to hell.
Not only that, man, but they go down to Mexico and get all this shit done, right? And then they come back and they do some bullshit hip abductor work on this fucking hip abductor machine.
Oh, gosh.
Right? And they want to sell you booty blaster programs, right? Because that's a quick way to make $300. Hell yeah, I'm going to send you a spreadsheet.
That chick in...
It's multiple chicks. It's multiple
that chick in Brazil who's like a... She used to do videos with fake plates where she'd be like squatting 315 in heels. Did she put shit in her ass? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, man, it is... let me educate you. It is such a big fucking thing right now because you can get more money being a, squat girl on Instagram than you can being a muscle-bound dude on Instagram.
How do you get money on it? I don't understand how you make money off Instagram.
Well, you do sponsor shout-outs, right? You do, like, advertising. You do all this other shit. But basically, it comes down to, like, you having 1 million followers or 500K followers or 3K followers or whatever, and then you doing these favors for these companies, right? So let's just say, for instance, Fit Tea approached you and your 500,000 followers, and they give you $2,000 to have one post about some fucking tea that you know that doesn't work, but you're going to go ahead and sell out because you want to sit there and you want to tell people that, hey, Fit Tea made me like this, you know? When in actuality, it was your sugar daddy. I'm jaded. I'm jaded when it comes to the whole thing. God damn. But anyway, yeah, that's how they make money. These booty girls on Instagram. And that's fine. Like, I'm not going to hate on them for using their body to make money. I mean, I'm going into bodybuilding and possibly strongman, to be announced later, maybe. But at the same time, man, it's fucking snaky. So
you know what's snaky? Saying that apple cider vinegar helps you lose weight. I'm looking at the study.
Yeah.
Over 3 months. 3 months.
3 months.
If you forced a tablespoonful of vinegar down your throat, which I would rather eat a razor blade, honestly, over 3 months, they lost an average of 2.6 pounds.
Okay.
There's no way to prove that person lost 2.6 pounds over the course of 3 months from anything.
That's kind of within margin of error for people's weight.
Yeah.
I don't know about that either. I mean, hey, people out there, if you take apple cider vinegar or your Fit Teas or anything else and it makes you feel fucking fantastic, continue doing what you're doing.
Yeah, just don't talk about it endlessly on social media.
But at the same time, don't make... And I know it's hard, right? Because, I'm a person who's lost a bunch of weight, and when anybody in the world, and we can talk a little bit about this, loses a bunch of weight, they automatically think that everybody else should do it, and they automatically start becoming like trainers.
They proselytize like a motherfucker.
And they automatically start saying, "Let me tell ya about the benefits of the weight loss." And they start channeling their inner preacher, and they want to sit there and act like they're better than you. It's like, no, you just stopped eating. I know that's fucked up to say, but it's true. You're not better than the next person, and you don't look better than the next person. You just somebody. I mean, unless you make a career out of it, unless you actually do make a fantastic fucking transformation, nobody cares. And that's from somebody who's been there. I made truly a pretty good transformation, but nobody cares. Nobody gives a fuck. Like, I'm a realist. Nobody cares.
Everybody on social media is just waiting for their turn to talk. That's all.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of a, look at me, look at me. I mean, it's like, back in the day, if you wanted to do that, you just become a comic, right? Every day, you sit up there and...
but at least they made people laugh. People don't even do shit now.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, and it's a bunch of nonsense, too, on social media. It's a bunch of nonsense. Like, you're going to sit there, you're going to go to the beach, your daddy paid for it, right? You're going to post about a car that you leased, talking about that grind life, right? And you're going to fucking, like, make your life seem like it's much better than it actually is. No, it's not, but that's okay. That is okay. Let me tell you something. Your life does not need to be spectacular. You don't need to be... And those people flexing on Instagram, talking about, like, rolling up and fucking... And I'm not talking about the guys who are, like 50 Cent or, these people with actually wealth, with actual big time, like, oh my God, they have more money than I will in a lifetime wealth. Those guys can do what they want, but, like, you're sitting here like some guy living out of an apartment, leasing a fucking Escalade so that you can have one Instagram post about it, like going to rent a car,
Yeah.
It's fucking, it's weird. It just is weird, right? Like, where would you think that would... Okay, let's just say the premise is to make yourself more popular, right? Why?
You're not actually popular. You're just popular on the internet. That is, it's not real life.
I will say this, though. The internet has kind of bred a different community. I mean, that's the double-edged sword about the internet. You and I were just talking about that, right? I mean, it's before the internet, there wasn't a bunch of people into, I don't know, like fucking watching daytime television, right? For instance, right? Because, like, all it is soap operas. But now there's a fucking community because the internet
really?
happened.
Yeah, I guess everybody has a community now.
I'm just saying, like, everybody has their little niche on the internet, right? So, like, maybe if you find the right niche and you rent your Escalades and you fucking show up with fucking, like, I don't know what other fucking... The only reason the Escalade thing pops up into my mind is because that was recently done by somebody I actually know. He actually rented an Escalade and posted it up on Instagram and then had to return it. It's like... That
is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard.
That is a story that you can tell with your tail between your legs. And you can, like... You better make sure nobody finds out about that. Like, there's some shit in this life that's just embarrassing, right?
Yeah.
That has to be one of them.
Everybody does stupid shit.
I mean, like, if you were to show people your actual self, like... point and talk to a camera and stuff like that. That's what makes a lot of these people very popular. It's like they're actually genuine, And I'm not saying you can tell because there's a lot of people who fake it good, They fake it well, but I'm just saying, like, you want to be truly, like, you want to have this mass endearment. Just be yourself. God damn it. I know it's fucking cliche. Whoops. Hopefully you guys didn't hear that.
I heard you say whoops. That was it.
Oh, yeah. My headset was connected to my...
hip bone?
My phone.
I just made the lamest joke ever. How's the dog doing?
Dog's doing fine. Yeah. Dog's doing great. Actually, he's starting to fill out a little bit, and he's adjusting to his new home, and he's already got sit, lay down, shake, roll over, and go outside, go potty, because those of you who own dogs, if you want them to hurry up and use the bathroom, teach them the word potty. It makes a difference. Take them outside, let's go potty, and then they go to the bathroom, and then everyone's happy, and then you don't have to wait like 30 fucking minutes for your dog to go to the bathroom. It's fucking great. So we're very happy with our new family member. Very happy. So, but yeah, I mean, man, we've been ranting for an hour. So you're about hungry enough to wrap this up, aren't you?
I'm starving to death. Taco Bell is screaming my name right now.
Well, guys, I know this has been rambly. I know this has been kind of a jumbled up mess, but you know what? Fuck it. This is Casual Sunday. I think that's what we're gonna. That's what we're gonna.
Calling this from Casual Sunday.
Casual Sunday, yeah, and we can answer one or two questions. I think that's not unrealistic. Kind of to give the guys who waited this long, who listened to us rant about the royal family for some reason. That's fucking cool, though. It's fucking cool learning they can't fucking play Monopoly. You just lord that over them for the rest of their lives. Like, you can't play Monopoly. I can. Nobody cares, though. But we can answer some questions real quick. So, how frequent do you hit each body part?
For me, that depends on the body part. It also depends on what I'm training for. I mean, sometimes I get a bug up my ass to just get good at a lift for no reason, and I'll focus on that body part more. Actually, one thing that I resolved to do this morning is I'm going to do 21s on arms 3 times a week at least for the next couple months and see how much size I can put on my arms. Because every time I do 21s, like, I get such a pump I can barely move.
Yeah.
And so I do them on skull crushers for tries, and I was trying preacher curls yesterday, but it wasn't working out, so I'll figure something else out for buys. But yeah, that's my plan. I'll probably do standing cambered bar curls for buys.
I've thought about this a little bit, and I can pretty much give my recommendation. So like 4 to 8 sets per body part twice a week is a pretty reasonable generalization to give people to kind of hand out my little pamphlet of Bryce's training methodologies, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good starting point. I mean, if you want to, once you get into specialization routines and things like that, if you're like, whether it be for powerlifting or Olympic lifting or bodybuilding, once you start specializing on body parts or on lifts, trying to bring them up, you probably want to increase the volume and the frequency.
And I'll also say that play with your frequency as well, because rear delts, in my experience, can be hit a lot more than twice a week.
You can hit rear delts every day.
Every day. Same thing with biceps, right? They just recover so quickly. Except if you're doing like heavy chin-ups on one day plus biceps, and then heavy chin-ups the next day plus biceps, heavy chin-ups. That's gonna hurt you.
My forearms end up being the like, I'll get knotting right where the brachioradialis is, like right where your elbow meets, right where your elbow connects everything. I'll get a ton of knots in my little, I don't even know what you call those tiny little tendons in your forearms, but they're like the scalenes for your forearm. But I'll get knotting in there, which is a limiting factor for me. But whereas you'll find people under the age of 25 will claim that they're injured and then take 6 weeks off. I just massage it out with my fingers and move on. So
yeah, and you'll know when you hit too much volume because you'll just start to feel like shit every day. Like, that's when it's time for you. Like, if you're experimenting with frequency and you sit there and you hit chest, let's just say 4 times a week, and you find out that's too much because your chest just is not recovering as well as it should be, right? And you do this by feel. A lot of the most experienced guys will do this by feel. But you find that out, you start feeling like shit every single session. Your numbers either stay the same, your intensity either stays the same, or your rest periods stay the same, and it feels more difficult, which is another good indication when you need to pull back a little bit, just one. Let's just say you're doing chest 4 times a week, do chest 3. See how that feels. See if you recover better than doing it 4 times a week. If you start doing stuff like that and you start really figuring out your own body, because everybody, I hate to use this term, but is a unique snowflake when it comes to training. You start figuring that out, man, you're going to be so far ahead of the curve. It's going to be crazy. You're going to be making gains like crazy. You're going to be efficient at basically everything you do, and you're going to feel like a monster. That's what I will
say this, and this is one thing that people who haven't been training 5 to 10 years don't understand. you're not going to make gains endlessly, nor is your interest level going to remain the same. I mean, lifting has been my passion and my hobby for 25 years. But my interest level has waxed and waned here and there. I've become interested in different things. I haven't chased numbers the entire time, because actually somebody the other day asked me why I wasn't stronger than I am, and I was like, I'm beyond elite level strong. I don't know what that question even means. And they're like, yeah, but because you're so strong, shouldn't you be stronger? And I was like, that question doesn't make any fucking sense. But also, I mean, so I'll take a couple of months and just like fuck around on machines for 2 months. Or like sometimes I'll just get real interested in trying to bring up a certain lift. And so I'll spend months doing that and not really, I don't squat all that much, or I don't. And yeah, there have been, in the last 3 years, there have been significant periods of time I didn't do legs. Just because I didn't feel like it. And I also managed to, this is a kind of a funny anecdote, I managed to maintain a 500-pound squat, meaning that I was squatting around, like somewhere in the fives, because I hadn't been lifting all that hard for a while. I'd just been drinking hard. And so when I ended up in jail, all I could do for legs, because I couldn't go to the gym, was sorry, we were in these kind of like dorms.
Yeah.
They were long rows. They were about 100 yards long. So I would read a book and just constantly walk from one end to the other, do a wall sit for like until my legs really started shaking. Then walk to the other side, do a wall sit till my legs started shaking. I would do that for hours. And the first time I got in the gym, I squatted 505.
Well, damn. Yeah, I mean that's the thing too is also with inexperienced lifters, they don't realize that once you basically get over, you start racking up multipliers times body weight on your lifts. It's kind of hard to go backwards, right? Like it's more difficult to lose so much strength that you go back to 135 and like you have to stay there for a little bit than one would think. Like if you haven't benched in, let's just say a year, right? And you were benching 315 or 405 or something like that, right? For like 3 reps or what the fuck ever. Like I'm not here to tell you your strength standard. But you're benching that much and you just do push-ups to maintain, right? Chances are you can probably still hit some pretty good numbers, right? Like it's really hard to slide backwards. So everybody worried about this extreme muscle loss and these just like becoming emancipated and becoming so sucked up and skinny and frail and weak.
You mean emaciated?
Emaciated, yeah. Yeah, I misspeak a lot. It's fun.
You're a slave to lifting.
Yeah.
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery.
So if you think that you're going to be just so frail by the time you get back to eventually benching again, I think you need to re-examine things because it's not.
I will say this. There's a caveat to that.
Well, yeah,
and
I mean,
because there are people right now who are listening to this who are like, well, I lifted for 3 months and I got my bench up to 185 and then I went back in the gym and it was down to like 125. Yeah, well, if you have only been lifting for 3 months and you stop lifting, your body is not going to maintain that strength. But say if you've been lifting for a few years and you take a couple of months off, you come back to the gym, your strength will be down for the first 2 weeks. And then you'll be right back to where you were or close to it.
You know what's crazy? Those freaks that come back stronger. That's crazy. I've
never met one of them, but
I've actually seen there's this dude called Kevin at my gym, right? He's this little guy, and he took about 3 months off or 4 months off of the gym completely because he had to work, right? He came back, went not only 10 pounds above what he did, but for more reps than what he previously. I'm like, what the fuck you doing, man? And I realize now that it was like, he gained 10 pounds of weight. And that's fine. Like, he gained body weight. Because that's going to help a little bit. But still, man, dude has some crazy strength genetics, I guess. I don't know. I've never been able to come back being stronger than I was.
My girl has been doing that. She's been progressing so heavily on the bench that she just took 2 weeks off, and because of the style of like the way she's been benching, which so everybody knows, her first set is a warm up with 10 reps. She'll add weight, do 9 reps. Add weight, do 8 reps. Add weight, do 7. Add weight, do 6, and she'll do that all the way down to 1. And then sometimes she does a back off set and just reps out. She took 2 weeks off, came back. She had a 165 bench, came back and benched 180.
There you go.
Yeah, like
fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and there's something to be said, like if you're still within that 1 to 5 years of training, because let's be frank here, it does take some time to get proficient at the movement patterns, at the, you know, being, I mean, you know, how long did it take you personally just to be okay under, like, you know, 90% of your working weight? Like, how long did it take you in training just to be okay, right?
What do you mean?
Like, not feel shaky, not feel queasy, not feel all this stuff that you find new trainees to feel, that's very common with them.
Because of the way I trained, I never was. I was always maxing. You know that whole thing about, oh, don't max. Fuck that. We had this machine that was, you could do weighted dips, weighted pull-ups, and weighted dips, weighted pull-ups, and weighted calf raises. And this guy and I were about the same size, and we would compete on that every fucking day. And I mean, we'd do other shit too, but my first year of lifting was virtually nothing other than weighted dips, weighted pull-ups, weighted calf raises. And like, I was always felt comfortable under heavy weights. I mean, that was back in the day when we weren't doing fucking form check videos and shit. So like, nobody cared if you bounced the bar off your chest when you benched, or your ass was 3 feet in the air. Like, nobody gave a shit. Did the weight go up and down? Fine. Then it was good.
And by the way, if you do a form check and you post it on Instagram, that's not a form check. That's a dick show. Stop.
And it's not even a dick show. You're a fucking idiot.
But anyway.
Because the people on Instagram know nothing. Literally nothing. In fact, they might know less than that. How about this? If you injure yourself doing a lift, you have done it wrong. If you don't, you're probably fine.
Are you sure it's not more complicated than that, man? How many RPMs?
I am 100% positive. The best form you could possibly have is the one that allows you to lift the most weight. The end. Mic drop. Call it a day.
Man, now that I know that, I can lift more weight now.
Exactly. It's that simple.
But
and I don't and for all the kids out there like, oh, well, I'm going to go to Snap City and all that shit. I never lifted with a belt in the gym because I am not a flaming fucking pussy. And I've never, ever injured myself in the gym. The bicep I tore was in competition, and it was because I had bad range of motion in my elbow. It wasn't because of my form. I've lifted with every kind of form there is.
Have you ever used elbow sleeves or knee sleeves?
I use knee sleeves in meets. Okay. I don't use them in the gym. I do have some, there's Strength Shop elbow sleeves. Okay. And that's the only time I get nervous in the gym, actually. I'll bench with those, and I mean, I think the last time I used them, I was probably benching like 365. And I threw those on, and I think I benched 405 for a double. And I was like, this is making me nervous because I had no spotter. And I was like, I'm going to drop the bar in my mouth or something's going to blow off, so maybe I'll just chill. But
you have like that chimpanzee reaction where you just scream at the top of your lungs, "This is wrong!"
Yeah, exactly. That was how I felt. But yeah, I don't even use those. I just use wrist wraps. Wrist wraps and wrist straps. I think those are the two most valuable things you could own.
And what do you think about chalk? Chalk is
excellent.
Chalk is another one I like, although assholes in the fucking gym are the reason why it gets fucking taken away.
Yeah, if you make a mess, clean it up.
Yeah.
Wet a towel down and wipe the shit down. It's not that hard. But you know what the end around for that is?
What?
If they say no chalk in the gym, you chalk up your straps out in the parking lot. Chalking straps is fucking clutch. And if you don't believe me, try it today. Chalk the fuck out of your straps. And I mean chalk the shit out of them. Then make sure you're rubbing the chalk and you bang them off so you're not like spreading chalk all over the gym. And go use your heaviest shrug weight that you've ever tried. Add 25 pounds to it, and tell me you don't rep like you're fucking like you were born again as Superman. I mean, like you can put an extra plate on there. I mean, my shrug. If I chalk my straps, my shrug will go for from 8 plates for 8 to 9 plates for 6, without doing anything else.
I'll tell you what. I'll try it out today. I'm going to be doing Romanian deadlifts for very high reps, just because they feel great in my hamstrings.
Sounds awful.
So, it is, trust me, but the results are worth it.
Why not? This is just the way my brain works. Why not go heavy as fuck on the Romanian deadlifts and then do high rep leg curls?
Because my lower back right now is a weakness that I need to address pretty quickly here. I'm a taller guy.
Wouldn't the heavy Romanian deadlifts address that issue?
If my back doesn't give out. That's the issue I'm having right now. So
when you say your back gives out, what does that actually mean?
Losing tightness. So I'm working on some things to help with that. So.
I'm confused by the whole losing tightness thing. I don't really understand. If you're straining against a weight, I don't understand how you could not be tight.
Okay. I'm 6'5".
And I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm legit. I don't understand what that means. And I've been training for 25 years. Maybe it's just that it was something that happened to me in my first 5 years of training, and I'd never put a term on it. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. But all I know is that I need to work on strengthening my lower back, and high rep Romanian deadlifts seem to have been doing the trick. So,
nice. Also,
cool beans for me.
Good mornings off the pins. Like, don't set it so you're parallel to the ground. Give yourself a little room to move. Like, start it at about 60 degrees or something like that, so that your back's at about 60 degrees, and do heavy-ass good mornings like that. You will, with a wide stance, you will strengthen your back in a hurry.
Now, when you're doing good mornings, do you do a little bit of a knee bend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do a wide stance, bent knee kind of deal. Like the way, I think Westside does them like that too. I think I learned them from a Westside guy.
Okay. I'll make sure to give those a try too, because I need to get this lower back under control. But
get it under control.
Yeah. But also, so the other question we had, and I know we kind of went off on a tangent on that one. So this is the last
and I'm starving,
one,
so let's wrap her up.
What is your favorite superset or giant set in the gym? That's the one you had, right?
Yeah. Somebody asked me that, which I actually started flipping through my Gold's Gym Book of Bodybuilding for good giant sets, because I frankly don't use them very often because I like going really heavy on stuff. So giant sets aren't really my forte. Why don't you give yours, and I'll flip through this book and find the one that I had. Okay. I marked.
Flat barbell bench press, giant setted with heavy dumbbell rows, and then curls for the girls. I love doing that. I love doing those 3 back to back. It is fucking killer.
Yeah, I feel like I get more done when I don't giant set. I feel like I get more done because I move more weight. But I guess you get a better pump with the giant set. I've really only used them for arms, and it'll be something like because I always alternate biceps and triceps, even when I'm giant setting for arms. Right. So I'll do something like hammer curls to rope push downs to reverse curls to reverse grip push downs, and then do overhand curl or underhand curl and overhand push down. Okay. I really love reverse grip push downs. I think they've probably fallen out of vogue, but they were a big deal in the 90s. Guys did them all the time. You don't put as much body English into it, and you get a much better squeeze, so I highly recommend them.
I will say something else. Superset-wise, I will. One of the things that I've been doing recently is farmer's carries, right? And then I'll superset that with plate pinches. Let me tell you something. You've never had your hands cramp up till you've done that. It's fucking cool.
Yeah, plate pinches are a bitch. I keep meaning to get a dowel every time I'm out, and I always forget. I'm putting that on my list of things to buy today.
All right, well.
And I remembered the word. Remember, it took us like 10 minutes, and then somebody had to email us afterwards.
Oh, no, somebody not only emailed us, but told us on Facebook, commented in the comment section, and did all this other stuff. So
I felt like a fucking moron when I just, for whatever reason, I was like staring at a broom handle, and I was like, handle. No, it's not a handle.
It'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
It'll be fine. So, with that being said, guys, it is done. This episode of the Hatecast is done. And
it's
by
done.
The way,
I'm using a Skymaster I'm staring at.
Hell yeah. I'm thinking about doing that on Instagram. Thinking about doing a Thigh Master video on Instagram, aren't you, Jamie?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to get right on that.
But leave your comments.
How many
in the
spotters
comments.
would I need for that?
Huh?
How many spotters would you recommend for that?
Well, that depends. Are you going to do it in a meet? Or because I'm sure there's a meet that allows Thigh Masters. Right?
No, I'm sure there is at this point. Oh, I'm going to do one more aside. Speaking of spotters. It's the only time in the gym that I will give a kid do as I say, not as I do, is on the bench. And it's because I bench in the most dangerous way humanly possible.
Elbows flared?
No. Monkey grip, never have a spotter.
I never have a spotter either.
But I monkey grip, so I don't wrap my hands or my thumbs around the bar. And I mean, every catastrophic bench video you've ever seen has been somebody fucking that up somehow. Don't understand
in a gym
how
with
to
no air conditioning, by the way.
Oh,
always slips. Always slips. So
I just do mine in a gym with very, very hot women, so maybe my palms get a little sweaty. But
nothing wrong with that. I mean, between that and looking porn between sets.
Yep. Keeps you pumped in your pants.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
But one final public service announcement to those squat girls I had mentioned earlier. Keep up the good work. We like the pictures. But with that being said, this episode is done. We have, I think, the next one will be a Q&A. So if you have any questions you would like to be answered on the very next episode, you can go ahead and leave those in the comment section below. And as for Jamie and I, we will see you in the next one.
Laters.
Also, it's Friday the 13th. Please love your black cats. They're not vicious creatures. They are just cats, for fuck's sake. See ya.